What's up, everybody? Josh here. Forgive my voice if it sounds a little weird. I've been really sick today. I had a script for this video, but I had an issue where it got deleted, and instead of rewriting the whole thing, I'm just gonna wing it. So you may hear some uhs and some pauses because I'm actually just gonna be, talking as opposed to reading a script and maybe ad-libbing a little bit in the middle of it. But what I actually wanted to talk about today, and this is something that I really didn't actually realize until I raided the last time I raided King's Fall, was that the Destiny loot system is actually not worse than it was before, but it's not, it didn't pan out, I don't think, as well as maybe Bungie wanted it to pan out. I think it's actually harder for people to get certain pieces of loot. And I know that like people ran Vault of Glass like 100 times and never got Galahorn and stuff. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I think getting pieces of loot is a lot easier, and that's great. Like, the amount of loot that you are getting is good. But I think that the amount of, let's just say the RNG behind getting meaningful loot is a lot harder than it used to be. So, with the new infusion system, it requires that you get higher and higher light level gear. But the problem is that the light level gear is all pretty much tied to RNG like it was before. So, okay, let's say this is year one, we're running Vault of Glass, and we have like one shot at getting some gloves. Just, run with me here. And like the drop rate's 10% or something. And let's say we hit that 10%. We're going to drop gloves. But then on top of that, you have to assume, like, there's a whole other RNG factor, too, in those gloves. Like, they could drop Discipline and Strength, and you might be like me. You might main a Warlock, and you're like, well, I kind of want Intellect and Discipline. So then, cool, the gloves drop. But then on further examination, you're like, oh, they're not Intellect and Discipline, so they're not really as good as it's like the loot gets knocked down a little, like it's not as relevant to you, or it's not as important, like it's not as good as it could be, right? And then on top of that, there's other factors, like maybe you aren't a heavy hand cannon or fusion rifle user, and then your gloves not only don't have intellect and discipline, but they're like, oh, it reloads hand cannons faster, and you're like, but I don't use hand cannons, really, right? So it's like there's all these, and this is year one, right? These 2-3 factors are the only things really, judging your gear. And I will admit, it's super exciting when you get that helmet and it's like intellect and discipline, and then it's some sort of thing that you like. The perks are really good. It's really exciting because it doesn't happen that often. You get really pumped up when you get it. But the thing is, it's even harder to get that stuff now because on top of Let's use the raid helmet, for example. Like, the Oryx helmet is super hard to get unless if you do challenge mode, there's a chance you'll get it, but the last time I did it, I got the primary, which I didn't really need. I needed the helmet, because my helmet's really holding me back right now from hitting 320. I'm at like 317 right now in all my raid gear. And it's tough because let's say you finally get the helmet, right? And you get it, but then again, you on top of let's say we're not running challenge mode, so you're not getting a guaranteed 320. Let's say you run Oryx, the helmet drops. You get excited because the helmet has like a low, drop rate anyway. But then you look at the helmet, and now on top of, does it have the 2 of the 3 stats that I want? And then on top of that, does it have perks that I like? Now there's also this number that's randomized that will affect whether or not you even use the thing to begin with. So, for example, let's say you have a 315 helmet already, and let's say the raid helmet drops for you and you get excited because you've wanted it for so long, and then you look at it and it's like, oh, but it's 313 and it's not intellect and discipline and the perks on it aren't good. Well then, like, it basically just becomes useless, or you're gonna possibly pump it into like an exotic or some other helmet that you have, and it doesn't really progress you. You don't feel like you really made any progress, even though you sort of did, but that's assuming you have other gear that you're going to want to infuse it into. What if you get it and you don't, and you're just like, well, I guess this is trash, and you just rip it apart? It's like, then that's not a good feeling, right? And so what I'm trying to say is that when you judge in this other light level factor, it actually makes a lot of the loot that would be considered in year one good. It actually can make it not good, because if you get a 310 helmet and you already have a 315 helmet, but that 310 helmet is, you know, has better perks, then you're like, well, I'll keep it, but I still need like a 315 helmet. Like, you know, I need something with a higher light level to infuse it into so that I can actually run it. Now I will say the challenge mode stuff is a good step in it's a step in the right direction. It's giving people guaranteed 320 loot that they can either use to infuse, or they can give it to other characters to boost them and stuff, and that's all great, right? But the problem is that there was no such, like, the infusion system brought on its own issue, where if all I'm getting is 310s, I'll never get past 310, right? I'll just perpetually stay 310. And to me, I think we need some sort of I'm not as like salty, I guess, as other people on this issue, but I think there's a good solution to this problem. And I saw it on the subreddit a while back, and nobody was really talking about it. But the thing that I would do, and I had a previous idea for how this could work too, but what I would do, based on this Reddit post I saw, was do something different with moldering shards. The way moldering shards work right now is that, you know, you get them when you don't get loot, or you get them from some of the chests in the raid, or you get them from, like, buying them from Eris, but I don't think anyone has literally ever bought a moldering shard from Eris because the price is just so extreme. And then when you have 20 and you kill Oryx, you get another roll at loot, right? So if you have like 20 and you do challenge mode Oryx, like, the loot is astronomical. You get so much stuff, and whether or not that's good or not, again, it's RNG based. But, and I mean, I'm not saying like RNG necessarily is a bad thing. I'm not trying to say like there shouldn't be RNG. I think they just need to mitigate it a little bit. Because I'm somebody who has over 300 hours in Destiny, and I'm getting to this point where it's like, well, I feel like no matter how much I raid and put up with, you know, crappy LFG groups, or like have to deal with racist 12-year-olds just to kill Oryx, like, I'm not getting the things that I need or want, right? And, okay, I'm getting off track, but the moldering shard thing, instead of having it just do that, what if I had like 30 moldering shards, right? I could turn them into like Eris or something and get like a moldering fragment, or just, you know, something like that. Like, it's called a moldering fragment, and I can use that to either like get a chance at another loot drop on a boss, sort of like 3 of coins, like any boss though, not just Oryx, or I could consume it or I could use it as like an infusion thing. So if I have a 316 like Nerwin's Mercy, instead of having a 317 or a 320 weapon I could use, what if I could use all the same stuff, but instead of a weapon I could use this moldering fragment, and it'll bump me up like 1 light level on that weapon. I think that would actually be okay for people. 1 light level might be a little low. It might need to be like 2 or 3, right? But I think this is a much better system, because then at least if we're not getting the loot that we want, we at least have a way to get to the, you know, max power, right? Because right now, getting to the max power level is all RNG based, whereas in year 1 it was still kind of RNG based, but it was less so, if that makes any sense. I don't know. These are just my thoughts here. I think there needs to be some sort of way that we can get 1 light level boosted or 2 light levels boosted on gear using some of the things we have, like Moldering Shards, I think, is a good example because, you know, you get Moldering Shards from the raid. There's multiple chests you get them from. You get them from bosses and stuff. And, of course, you can buy them from Eris, but again, like, buying them from Eris is ridiculous. But I just think there needs to be some kind of way, right? Because right now it feels like a slog. Every time I go through the raid and I don't get something and there's no way for me to mitigate that feeling, I just feel like, man, why do I do this every week, right? But then I still do it every week, so I guess the problem's me. But I want to be able to, like, actually get to the max level. And getting to the max level is not going to keep me from playing Destiny. Like, I'm still going to play a lot, you know? And I'm still waiting for, like, you know, the next big thing or whatever. But there has to be, like, a way to get to where everyone wants to get to. Like, 320. There's, like, no roadmap other than just this slog, sort of. Whereas in something like World of Warcraft, like, the item levels aren't necessarily random, right? The item levels dictate, you know, what the strength or the defense of something on an item is, but your item level, which is probably most comparable to your light level, is not random. It's not like when I go raid a boss in WoW, I'm going to get an item level that's like between 715 and 725. That's not how it works. It's like the normal mode gear is all going to drop at 7 whatever. So for, like, Destiny, let's say Kingsfall normal, for example, everything will drop at 310. So if you get a fusion rifle, if you get the helmet, if you get this or that, it's all going to be 310, no matter what, right? And then let's say hard mode, like, you get anything from hard mode raid, it's all going to be 320, no matter what. That's sort of how WoW works. So it's like, if you get all the loot drops in Mythic, which is the hardest raid tier in WoW, then you are the max item level. Like, you've done it. You've essentially reached 320 using a Destiny comparison in WoW. Now, like, why can't, if I get all the loot drops in Kingsfall, there is a great chance that I have not reached the max light level in any way, you know? And I think that's kind of an issue. And I think the Moldering Shard thing could fix it, but also they could just, for the next raid, like, for that Cabal raid that everybody wants and everybody thinks is coming, I think that they need to just have it be, like, they need to just not, they need to take the randomness out of that kind of thing. In the engrams, I really don't mind there being like randomness in the engrams, but I think that if I am playing the raid, or if I'm like opening the, you know, the chest in the lighthouse or something, I need to be guaranteed like something big, you know, because if I'm doing the hard mode raid and I do the Oryx challenge, in a sense I've completed one of the most elite activities in the game, but I'm not getting, you know, the max level elite kind of reward that I should be getting, right? I don't know. That's sort of my thoughts on it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Let me know in the comments and stuff. I would love to have a discussion about, like, how to fix this or how it might work. Anyways, like, favorite, subscribe. Sorry about the sickness in my non-scripted video. There will be more videos coming really soon, and I hope to see you guys later. Bye.